Oh, momentum me up. Morning, y'all. It's 7:15 and it's an early start today because I'm actually away Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday with the family. So there'll be no daily vlog on Friday, and there will be one on Monday, but it's actually being filmed now, which you'll see on Monday what it's all about, because it's actually going to start Saturday, it'll be Sunday and Monday. It'll all become clear. But I'm off to Dawlish. Coffee to go. Right, made it to Dawlish. It's a little drizzly, but we're going to give this a go. Today's vlog, I'm going to talk about offset. So getting a lot of people asking me about what it does, how it works, those kind of things. Let's have a day thinking, talking, trying to understand what offset is all about. So yesterday's question about the race to Dubai, amazed by the responses. Literally so many of you just do not care. I don't know if that's a failing by the European Tour or not. I mean, it seems a real shame. I also with you, I don't kind of care at all. Interesting. Golf often just happy ploughing on, doing what it's used to, isn't it? I don't know if there's a better solution or if it even feels like it needs a solution, but it seems a real shame, doesn't it? So today's question, what does offset mean to you? What does it do? How does it work? So don't post comments at the end of this video, pause it now. What does offset mean to you down there? Remember, hit the thumbs up button as always. Subscribe if you don't already. I'm trying to find a space on the course. Right, let's kick the offset discussion right open with a Ping G400 iron. So what is offset? This is offset. So where the leading edge of the club is behind the leading edge of the neck. If you compare this, say my driver, you're going to see my driver is actually a fraction onset. So offset, often found in what you'd call game improvement irons. It's marketed as there to help you. We're going to talk about why people think it makes the ball go a little higher, so it might help you with a bit of launch. Also, some argue it might help you not go as far right, is the whole idea with offset, which we're going to discuss. But basically, your offset is how that leading edge, so the front of the club, is behind the neck. And as a generalized rule, your good players are going to kind of turn their nose up at offset, where your average golfer who doesn't really know, just wants to play, they won't even notice it or know what offset is, or not that much. So common idea I hear talked about is, can you fade, so move an offset club as well as anything else? So I've got a Ping G400 here, which is pretty offset. It's game improvement as they come. I've got two balls. I'm going to try and fade one, and then I'm going to try and just hit my standard one, because I honestly believe that I've got control over face the path more than this offset's going to do for me. So I think I can just personally override it, which we're going to test. The cutty one to start. Hit that nice, and that is cutting into the right side. Pretty good hit. Next shot's going to be my standard hit, straight to maybe a fraction jewelry, but pretty straight. And I'll hit that pretty straight, at it in fact. I played for a long part of my amateur career with Ping i2s, which, to be honest with you, this club kind of really reminds me of loads of offset. So did loads of tour players, from Mark James. I think Mark Calcavecchia probably won his Open using Ping i blades. Ping i2s. I don't remember any issue with drawing and fading it with these clubs, because I can move the path easily with any club, and I feel I can control the face in relationship to that path. I think it's one of those things that sounds good in forums, doesn't it? Sounds good to the journo who's got to write something for the editor, doesn't really know what they're saying, but knows this is a common kind of idea, so just play into it. I totally don't agree. I far outweigh what that offset can do in shaping the ball. But I do think it's a mindset. You take someone like Dan, and you've seen him talk about, and I've done some reviews with Dan from Torquay, he hates offset. As someone who struggles with a draw and an overdraw, he just sees that offset as making it impossible for him not to just overdraw that club. But that's more to do with his baggage, I feel, than actually a fact. Because I think if you just put him in the studio, dotted up the club, measured some impacts, he's going to learn pretty quick that he's the defining factor, not the offset. And he'll start to look through it. Not that he ever needs the game offset, that's not my point. You'd always game what feels most comfortable and kind of suits your image and feel best and the most. But I just feel when it comes to the shaping discussion, it's one that's just best left in print, not reality.
Let's answer your questions.
Hey Mark, greetings from Pennsylvania, long-time viewer here. Just wanted to reach out with you on a question about cavity back versus bladed irons. I know recently you switched to the MP5s, and you were currently, I remember watching when you were gaming the JPX EZs. Quite the difference there, and it's something that intrigues me because for the longest time I bought into the cavity back idea of forgiveness, like you're saying, really doesn't make that much of a measurable difference. My question is kind of two pieces. One, for someone that's, let's say, a slower swing speed golfer, like an 85 mile an hour driver, club head speed kind of guy, are they going to be punished a little bit more by the higher lofted, more traditional strategy in a bladed iron? And then for someone more like myself who doesn't really struggle much with distance, play off like upper single digits, what type of thoughts and feelings go into an iron choice for them? Would you say go off of something that's going to give you traditional distances and that you like the aesthetics of, or if you're okay with more of a cavity back or bladed iron to pick the more consistent spin model? Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing great. Thanks.
I think quite a good question for today's video. Lots of points there. So, launch for the slower handicap play, or so the slower swing speed golfer, the more offset cavity back iron might push the ball up in the air a little bit more, but you've got to remember then they strengthen the lofts to try and make them in line with what other clubs do. So I think often they always balance it out. All they do is drop the spin off it. Now there's lots of talk of amateurs spinning it loads going round at the moment, so you kind of hint on it as well. I don't see that. I see lots of amateurs really spinning low, often because they haven't got much speed. Speed's a crucial ingredient when it comes to spin. So it's a real balance. I think the higher handicappers might see a difference less, purely because they offer so many inconsistencies that you would struggle to find a consistent result with any of them. I think for yourself, kind of 8-9 handicapper, sounds like you're saying, with speed, sounds like you want blades. I personally don't think you would see any difference in your performance over the year if you went to blades. So I've seen a difference in my performance in the fact that I feel I can hit the distance more consistently, and I don't get any knuckleballs like I used to with the cavity back irons, and I like that, and it gives me confidence. But still, the skill is in my hands. The score, I haven't particularly noticed my scores coming down massively, but I do feel like I hit a lot more irons closer than I used to, like literally closer, because I get the distance. I'm pin eye more, it stops where I want it to stop, those kind of ideas. So I think the game improvement thing is definitely overplayed. It's something that really plays into golfers buying ethos. For you, if you're handicap, I would go, AP2, Titleist MB, split cavity Mizuno, ping eye blade. The new TaylorMade P7 range is great. All around there kind of ideas, and even then try some of the bladed ones like the MP18 is beautiful. You'll be fine. You'll be the same player, but if you've got something you really like looking at, you'll be the same player, but a better looking and feeling player. So let's talk about how offset works, the ideas. There's a few theories that fly around online as well, which are interesting. The way I understand offset as working, let me get an offset club. JPX 900. This is offset. So basically the leading edge is behind this leading edge of the club. What this allows the club makers to do is push the centre of gravity of this club further back, because what happens at impact when you come to try and hit a ball is the centre of gravity of the head is going to try and catch up with this end. It's going to try and catch up with the grip end. You can't help it. Got an interesting bit of footage here. So I've captured this at 480 frames a second. It's a global shutter. So what that means is it's my expensive camera with a pretty good shutter. People send me pictures of their GoPro or iPhone slow-mos and you get massive wanding forwards of the shaft. That's the way the shutter is capturing. So non-global shutters will capture from the top down. So it'll basically go down. So when it starts capturing, the head is in one part of the space of the image, and then when it finishes capturing, it's in a different place, and what it does is it joins it up, which is why you get that massive bowing. They're cheaper, not as good cameras. So this isn't something like a Phantom, which is going to give you almost zero global shutter, but I understand the camera on this one is pretty good, and I understand it is global shutter, which is giving us a truer representation. And look at the shaft as he comes in to hit the ball. This player doesn't have massive speed. That head is bowing forwards. The shaft is always in lead as you come in to hit the ball. It's always bending forward. That's another video about common misconceptions about shaft flex, where people think if it's flexy it bends forward too much and stiff it stays back too much. Basically, the centre of gravity is just always trying and will catch up with the grip end as you hit the ball. So imagine, the further back the centre of gravity goes, the more bending forwards you get. So what that's going to do is add some loft. There's your launch. So offset is always in game improvement irons because it's there to try and help people get the ball up in the air. Now the other idea around it not going to the right, imagine if it's bending forwards more, depending on how it bends forwards, there's a chance that the toe might go ahead of the heel, it might bend forwards, which closes the club. Now that's debatable subject to, I'd imagine, what kind of forces you're putting through the shaft, the way it's going to kick forwards. And I'm not sure that one is particularly true, but I can imagine there might be a little element of that which is helping it not go so far to the right. And then the other theory I've heard is that you've got a fraction of a second longer because the head is further back to allow the club to have a bit more rotation on the way through. Feasible, fractions of seconds though, like just minuscule. How much that's actually going to help a student. I always think if a student's got a desire to have a face that is open to a path, that desire is going to win. It's far going to outweigh what that offset does. Again, post comments down below, let me know what offset means to you. I've been on some forums to see what people are saying. I mean, I've seen some pretty crazy stuff out there. That is the problem if you go in forums, I guess. So offset pushes the CG further back, allows for a little bit more bending forward of the shaft. So this kicking forward shaft's always in lead as it comes into impact and into impact. That's something ping engineers have told me. They know their beans. And obviously the further back you push that CG, more kicking forward's going to help push the ball up in the air, and it might do something for the face. Other theory, a fraction of a second more time because the head's further back for a bit more closure. I do struggle with that one though, because that's got to be so player specific. Collected?
Yes.
Carry on, Lally. You had a story to tell. It's not for the camera, no?
Yes.
What did he do?
It wasn't me who did it.
Just me and the girls tonight, so we're going out for tea. Come on, we're going. And they come. So offset is there to help. It's there to try and get the ball up in the air. And there's talk of it to try and stop it going to the right. How much of that is marketing talk compared to in the air? Well, I guess it's quite even on both sides, as in it'll push you further up in the air as much as it'll stop you going to the right, which at the end of the day isn't that much. But why give that help away? I am very full.
So am I.
Full up. So look, at no point am I saying that offset is bad. It's good. It's there to try and help as much as it can within the realms of the laws of the game. Because, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure there will be. In fact, I've seen, I'm sure, limitations. But I think there might even be limitations on how much offset you can put on a club. Because, again, the skill has to stay with you. That is the mission statement of the people in charge. They want you to be in control. So if there is a club that can stop you slicing, it won't become legal. You need to stop yourself slicing. So I think the question to ask yourself is more if you like the look of it and don't. If you absolutely don't like the look of it, don't worry, you're not losing out massively with offset. You just might have a slightly lower launch, but you could order clubs with different lofts. You know, you can get the loft custom fit as much as anything else. Just comments down below, let me know what you think about offset. Do you love it, you hate it, you love looking down at it? Let me know. Post comments as always. It's very cold. Let's go home and go to bed.